I think that I'm earlier in this industry than I was a decade ago, for the simple reason that a decade ago, it was let's become digital gold. It's 10 trillion. And what is both daunting, exciting, but also really amazing is that the aperture is opened up in a way that things are working. I don't think that triggers euphoria. That triggers like sort of sits on you. It takes a while and then you're like, oh fuck.
Like legislation comes, banks start holding, banks start issuing, tech companies start issuing, US dollar maintains global reserve status as we basically figure out how to export dollars to the entire world. And so that was just biggest takeaway from the Multicoin Summit was like, I think people are grossly underestimating. I think people think that there's like, oh, stablecoin bubble on Twitter and people are talking about that. We're like we're not, the game hasn't even started for
No,
stablecoins.
exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a speck of dust.
Scale is the blockchain that is simply built different. Other L1 networks have costly transaction fees, clunky user experiences, and lack true adoption in AI and on-chain gaming. Explore the gas-free ecosystem at skale.space/ecosystem and follow their journey on X at Skale Network. That is Skale with a K. Hit the link in the show notes to get started. Hey everyone, excited to share with you that Cronos zkEVM has launched its Pioneer program, offering early adopters a chance to earn not only loyalty points, but also potentially win part of a $30,000 zkCRO giveaway. If you're interested in being an early adopter, visit zkevm.cronos.org/bridge. Big thanks to Cronos for sponsoring today's episode. Are you a project founder that wants your team to be paid in stables or even just give your team token grants? Both of these things can become complete nightmares. Toku simplifies every part of global token compensation, all in 100 countries on one platform. Reach out to their incredible team at toku.com or by hitting the link in the description of today's episode. Hey everyone, Jason here. Wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind a lot recently. We should not be just recreating the TradFi industry. That's why I'm excited to share with you that today's sponsor, Magic Eden, is getting into token trading, and their vision is to become on-chain Binance and then much more as the entire world moves on-chain. Stay up to date with Magic Eden's journey by giving them a follow on X at Magic Eden. Hey everyone, Jason here. For Black Friday only, Ledger is offering $70 in Bitcoin if you upgrade to the Ledger Flex. You can also save up to 40% on selected Ledger Nano wallets and accessories. Offer is only valid until December 5th or while supplies last, so be sure to hit the link in the description of today's episode so you don't miss out on this really good deal. Man, yeah, put on your podcast face. All right, what's up, everyone? We've got the Roundup this week. Bit of an odd week. I feel like vibes are not as high as they should be with Bitcoin hitting 98K. I don't know. Trump did some cool stuff. AI agents, options went live. Some stablecoin stuff. I don't know. What's up, Santi?
I feel like the vibes are, well, I tweeted about this yesterday. The market doesn't feel euphoric at all.
Yeah.
I
Let's talk about that. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, the way I think about it is when you believe in something and it happens, it doesn't create euphoria. Euphoria happens when something that you don't believe in happens or that you hadn't considered. And I think, if you're still here, like it's been a difficult couple of years. And so whether you've been investing in Bitcoin, but like something like Solana is, I think, 5% off its all-time high. I was at the MultiCoin conference. You were there too. I think it's the people that are still here really believe in the technology. You've sort of been hardened by difficult times, and so you're not euphoric because if you're still here, you believe it. Like you fully understand the potential. From my perspective, I've said this many times. I think that I'm earlier in this industry than I was a decade ago, for the simple reason that a decade ago it was let's become digital gold. It's 10 trillion, and what is both daunting, exciting, but also really amazing is that the aperture is opened up in a way that things are working. And not only that, but a lot of the obstacles and the oppression has been cleared with this incoming administration. And so it's almost like a deep sense of appreciation and excitement, but not euphoria in that, okay, now we have a really good shot at scaling this. Now it's
Mm,
really on us to get this to where we want it to, and that's I don't think that triggers euphoria. That triggers like a like sort of sits on you. It takes a while, and then you're like, oh fuck.
mm.
And I've been thinking about that a lot, obviously with what I'm doing, but also just as the industry as a whole.
Yeah, I have a different take actually. I think you are right. So it's not a but, it's an and. It's meme coins have been great for some reasons because a lot of people have made a lot of money, and actually a group of people who usually doesn't get to make a lot of money, I would say, has made a lot of money, and that's been a really net positive. The negative is that I think it's sucked the air out of a lot of the rest of the industry, right? As a, you know, like crypto kind of has worked the same way that tech has worked in that it's a very venture backed industry and it's predicated on the venture deals actually working and making a lot of money. And for the last 10 years, they did, right? They were working. You would invest in an L1 or an L2 or an app like Uniswap, and then it would go live at a valuation higher than the last round. And the system was really working. And there were there was like the majors, and then there were the alts, right? There was the DeFi tokens and things like that. And the downside of having these meme coins going parabolic is that it sucked the air and the energy out of the rest of the industry. And we're in crypto, price drives narrative. And so even like I was prepping for this podcast for a little bit, and I was like, what are we talking about this week? Like Trump did some cool things, like there were some AI agents, but really those are just meme coins right now. Like some MicroStrategy went up more than it did last week. Like so there's no narratives right now, and there's no things that the industry is kind of holding on to as like, oh, this is what the exciting new thing is. And so I think that's driven some of the vibe not being as high as it could be.
I agree with you with that, and um, I still think let me ask you a question. Like, I think a lot of we'd like to talk about narratives in this podcast, but like, do we need? I feel like we're in constant search of narratives when we already know a lot of things, and so like, are we in a place where like I don't think we have an identity crisis. I don't think we need to find more narratives. I could go back to when I was first investing in DeFi before it was a term. And I could have told you if we just stopped innovating, if we just stayed at stablecoins and Bitcoin, even today, that's a thesis enough for this space to meaningfully grow. You know what I mean? It's still a speck of dust. Like, yeah, we're getting traction with stablecoins. There's 7 trillion being settled on stablecoins. A lot of that is speculative, and a lot of the reports that I've seen. Businesses are still not using stablecoin, but you have PayPal and Stripe really appreciating how it can transform what they're doing. We don't need to boil
Mm,
the ocean. We don't need 100 narratives to justify the existence of this space. Like people that are not in crypto are just beginning to appreciate that narrative and how explosive that is. And oh, by the way, for them, that's massive. And so we like to bring on people here to talk about at the cutting edge of blockchain and you know fully homomorphic encryptions. I mean, like a lot of really cool use cases will be opened up. The non-skeuomorphic, totally new, you know what I mean. But we don't need to justify. We don't need to create 100 narratives. I think we just need to double down on the things that are working, and that alone is enough to push this space an order of magnitude or two.
yeah, I would agree with you, except that narratives are more important than people realize for directing um, capital, but also human capital. So let's take like a real world example of like a person, right? If you are a founder and you want to go build something today, do you think it's more? Let's say there was a massive stablecoin narrative happening today, or a massive like DeFi 2.0, DeFi Renaissance narrative happening today. That founder is going to go build in DeFi, or they're going to go build in stablecoins. Today, what's happening? I mean, I have a really smart friend. I'll put quotes around this because he should be building a company on chain.
Mhm.
Instead, he just decided to launch a meme coin fund. Now,
Meme coin fund. Well, we should talk
yeah,
about.
now that's the third really smart person I've seen in the last 4 weeks launching a meme coin fund. Is that
Mhm.
better or worse for society? I'm not here to tell you it's not the most productive use of your time. I'm sure he'll make a boatload of money. However, would that person's a phenomenal engineer, really gets crypto, really gets how capital markets work. I would love to see that person go to try to build a big business. But because there's no narratives, he's like, I just don't know what I'd go build right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It seems like the money's in the meme coins. So,
Do you think he's a good builder?
yeah, I think he's a great builder. I think he's a great builder, but he just sees the risk reward right now is like, it's like, look, I could go build something. It's really freaking hard.
Uh,
But like on the other side, I could go launch a meme coin fund. He's doing no fee, so it's like I think 0 and 25. So he's like, yeah, I'll just get people to give me money because people know that I'm smart and like I'll go make some money, and that's how I'll ride out this cycle. And like, boom, we just lost a great company.
Well, if I were to meet him, I'd ask him, smart people don't necessarily make money. I do appreciate narratives drive a lot of interest and speculation, and speculative drive is super important for adoption and capital market formation. I'm not dismissive of the value of narratives. I just think some of the best builders are obsessed with an idea, and they counter sort of the mainstream consensus. Like, you want to build like
That's a
transformation.
really good point. If he
You mean
was
like
really a good build,
the best
yeah,
founders, why am I doing this thing that I'm doing? Do I need to do it? Absolutely not. Can I just chill in the horizon and just
that's a good point.
beach all my life? Yeah. But you just one day you wake up and you say, I couldn't live with myself not doing this. I don't care if other people don't see it. I see it, and that's enough for me to go one speed, full speed, and that's it. The people want to, I know that at some point, like the best people that I've come across just are like that and will, and on the other side, when I meet them, I sense that they're gonna do everything in their power to make it and will it into existence, and they will just literally not stop. And then, of course, they control costs. They raise enough money to be able to execute. I'm not saying that starting a meme coin fund is not, to your point, going to be successful. Good for him. Great, all the success. But is that really going to drive you?
Yeah, that's a very valid point. Is he really the builder that would have built something big if this is how
I'm
he?
starting to question if he's that good of a builder or that smart of
Okay,
a person. I'm not. I would like to break. Maybe you should come on the pod and we can just
I was gonna say, so
tear
without
apart his
picking on my
thesis.
friend, without picking on my friend too much, maybe let's zoom out from that. I'd be curious. Right now it's like Bitcoin is ripping. Bitcoin's I don't know the price today. It's like 98K I think or 97 or something like that. And the meme coins are going up. Solana's going up, and really nothing else is going up. And we're now going on like month 7 of this dynamic basically. And so I'd be curious how you're thinking about maybe what 2025 could look like. I know you've, vocally been very obviously everyone knows who listens to Empire like bearish ETH, bullish Solana.
Mhm.
You're right. We'll, pat you on the head for that.
I don't
But
need a
like
padding, man.
no, I know. But no, I know. I'm
Just look at
kidding.
my portfolio and I'll be fine. I don't need anyone to say thanks or whatever.
You're like you know who you see the naive Bukele Instagram story? Oh,
Oh
this is
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Because he made $100 million in the trade. He's like, "We are right," something
This
like
is
that.
this is amazing. Hold
I
on.
told you so. He said, right?
He said, no, he didn't even say
Oh,
that.
three
It was
hundred
just a
million.
screenshot of $573 million in his portfolio, total profit of 300 million, and he just sent the portfolio chart with two kissy faces.
Love it.
Love it. Okay, so what do you think about so I think the big question on people's mind this week has been like, a couple weeks ago, people were calling for like BTC ETH is at the lows, but or ETH BTC is at the lows. It keeps going lower. So I'm curious your current framework on like ETH and maybe more importantly, less about ETH, but more importantly about like just the alts and like DeFi tokens and DePIN tokens and that kind of stuff. I don't know if you have current thoughts on this.
I'll answer the question telling you what I did last year. I don't like to adjust my portfolio or thinking just because things reacting to the market necessarily. I do pay attention to it constantly, but and it serves as an impetus to update my thesis. Like, hey, what am I missing here on the meme coin stuff? For me, it was like, okay, I'm certainly missing something here. People, and you update your thesis, but with something like Solana and how I think I did a very drastic change in my portfolio. I don't own any L1 like ETH other than to pay gas to like claim some positions that are vesting. So, but other than that, I don't own any ETH, very little Bitcoin. Uh, and so, but the ETH one is for me, like I was willing to do that drastic of a change in my portfolio because it I was processing the thesis for Solana and then high throughput chains, and it took me a bit. Was I super early on it? No. Did I catch Solana at the absolute pico bottom? No. But I'm okay with that because I have a my thesis is that Solana flips Ethereum and then some. And then so I'm willing to hold that and I'm willing to just see that through. So I don't necessarily like I'm not a this calendar year re-underwriting makes no sense to me. Like, what am I know allocators,
Mm.
institutional allocators, like, let's sit. What is the and we do predictions here for the
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
We got to do them. I get it, but
Gotta do them. Gotta
from
do
my
them.
standpoint, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing them. I'm like, okay, I'm holding to the thesis. I don't see anything that will invalidate it. And that's it. Like, if
So
anything, if I make more money on stuff that I've done on the venture side, I'll just rotate into the more Solana.
so then let me ask you this. Can the alt okay, without talking about Solana, can the
Right.
altcoins move like can like Aave and Maker
I'll
and
give the answer that yes, I'll give the answer that the audience wants to hear. Then I'll entertain the exercise.
yeah.
What's gonna happen? Go listen to the episode of Eric Peters. Along the way there, he says something that is true. Institutions huddle up at the end of the year and say, where are we gonna put our money? We just had the election. Crypto is in flavor now. Every fund that you talk to is getting inbound. The institutions don't move as fast. It takes and Eric said it too, 1 or 2 quarters for them to update, right? They're going to go in there, they're going to say, we should allocate more to Bitcoin, crypto. How can we express that view? They're going to do a couple of things. They might buy the ETF, they might also allocate to crypto funds, and then that liquidity takes a couple of cycles to play through. Absent anything major on the geopolitical side of things, you have I think, a really good setup for the space. Like liquidity will come in and liquidity flows, and then so it doesn't take much to drive a lot of these assets, which you're right. Solana, Bitcoin are hitting all-time highs. Meme coins are just all the rage right now. Most of the other stuff is still well below their all-time highs. And so the question is, where do you want to allocate your money? How do you want to play that? How far on the risk spectrum and from a portfolio construction standpoint, what are the funds? Like you're inverting saying, where are the people going to deploy their money? Are they going to continue to deploy it and do the trade of Solana ETH and looking at that chart, or are they going to punt out? I'd be I think the correct assumption is people are going to go farther on the risk spectrum as things, Bitcoin continues to rally. I could see it go up to 120 before the end of the year. Then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, if that holds, then people are going to punt. At some point, ETH is going to come out on favor. The flows into the ETF are going to be strong. And then, like everything catches a bit in a bull market, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think we are in that situation right now, just everything you're seeing on Bitcoin. Bitcoin historically has led. Um, but so yeah, like what outperforms is maybe the more interesting question. Like what on a relative basis does well on a year time frame, kind of really impossible. Much much more impossible on a shorter time frame. On a multiple year time frame, I'll tell you with a lot of conviction what I'm doing. But
Yeah. So will we get so here, let me pull up this. We did this story with I think it was Hashkey put this out. It was like outlines the three like kind of 2013, 2014 alt season, 2017 to 2018 alt season, 2020, 2021 alt season, and like basically where Bitcoin dominance was at for those, what were the catalysts, what were the key events. We can link in the show notes to the story.
yeah.
When if you just compare the alts to meme coins in this cycle, what do you think? Like in the last cycle, retail pushed farther out on the risk spectrum
Mhm.
and started buying things like Compound and Aave and Uni and things like that, and then they pushed even farther out and bought the NFTs. We're skipping steps in this cycle. It feels like, and people are kind of saying, "Oh, I know how the cycle is going to go. Let me just go straight to meme coins." So
Yeah.
one thing I have zero conviction on is will the alts ever get bid, or is it just it's a meme coin cycle because people know how the game plays, so they're trying to skip to the end.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, it's already happening, right? People have totally skipped the
It's like
alts.
that
Strictly speaking, alts, yeah, they've skipped them. They've gone
it,
straight to
it,
memes.
it's
Now TikTok Meta is all the rage, and
Yeah, it's like my friend who texted me last week that we were talking about on the, I think we were talking about her texts with me on the podcast last week. She didn't say, "Hey, I want to buy Bitcoin or like one of the majors, and I want to buy like one of the real businesses built on chains." She said, "Give me, should I buy Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, and what meme coin should I buy?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like the bell curve that you buy something at the right side, you buy something at the left side, you don't buy something in the middle. So
Yeah, I think like the right side part of your brain, or the right side would be, what are the best assets? Like Bitcoin, if you're gonna hold Solana or ETH, well, you can come to your conclusion. And then extreme barbell strategies, I think how the market just is operating, not just in crypto, but traditional too. It's like I'm gonna hold something like stable, like quality, and then I'm gonna go really like, left
yeah,
curve, like kind of like the family feud style of investing, which is, it doesn't matter what I think, it's like what other people are gonna do.
yep,
And then you just kind of operate like that, or
yeah.
allocate like that. The issue though, I don't know, like this meme coin stuff is, well, it certainly surpassed my expectations. It's just the the meta is so quickly, rapidly evolving. I think Shao or Darren or someone, down Lao said like, wait a minute, historically it was like institutions dumping on retail. Now retail is dumping on institutions. Or like, or not, and also like newcomers, right? A lot of these people that, like, if you're not on TikTok, you're at a material disadvantage, like in asset selection for the meme coins, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pulling up the picture of that kid. Did you see the kid this week who rugged? He launched that. Oh my god, I gotta find the picture of this kid. He created a meme coin and then it went to like he made like 30K in Soul and rugged, and then people found out who he was and like saw this video of him rugging and being like, he's like 15-year-old kid. He's like flipping off the camera. And then oh my God, I'm going to send this to you afterwards. It's freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
And then people sent his meme coin skyrocketing and he would have had like 5 million bucks. So I don't know. Funny video. Um, any takeaways from the multi-coin summit? By the way, shout out to the multi-coin folks. I
Yeah.
saw I saw a thread on Twitter which was like, whose opinion do you trust, or do you trust this person's opinion or something? And it was all these like people, and I think it was posted by like a very big ETH person, like Croissant or Bread, or yeah, I forget who posted it, but it was like Kyle from Multicoin. It was like 80% don't trust, and the thing that I think people nobody realizes on Twitter right now is that Multicoin is actually probably one of the only mega funds that has actually outperformed Bitcoin when a lot of the other mega funds have honestly just underperformed Bitcoin. So I don't know. Just wanted to shout out the multi-coin folks. I thought it was a really good summit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like an off the record summit, so I don't know. Can't share too much from it, obviously, but like any just like generalized takeaways.
I was catching up with them because I went to, I think, their first summit on 2017 or 16, 17 or 18. I forget. It was like
We
super.
hosted. Do you know Blockworks? We were desperate for money, so they hired Blockworks
But
to
this was at
host.
Half Moon Bay.
No, the one after that in or maybe before in at Chipri, I think it was Cipriani in New
Oh,
York. Maybe in
okay.
2019, I want to
This, I
say.
think, no, this was their first summit, I believe.
Yeah.
And I was going back to that. When I first met Kyle, I reached out to him because I thought his writing was very clear and compelling, and it's not someone that is afraid to voice his opinions. And he's a strong idea guy, and he follows through, and very high conviction. And I think the combination of Tushar and Kyle, if you know them or have met them, or you can go listen to their podcasts, they're different. They're different in how they operate and think, but I think the combination is works very well. So my thesis when I gave them money back way back in the day for their hedge fund was, these guys are gonna capture something that I don't. They're gonna see thing. It's sort of a hedge against myself, and it turned out to be very true. So I don't know. Like I don't think they've had it easy after the FTX stuff, the constant question for Solana. Is very polarizing, but he knows that. And like, I know he blames like Cunningham's law also, like, this idea of like tweeting, like getting a lot of information, but like just staking an opinion. You know, he really, I think he's smart in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I thought, yeah, I mean, So a lot
Well,
of
what is Cunningham's law? Cunningham's law is like the best way to get to an answer is to post a statement and people are going to tell you, or it's
yeah,
you want
yeah.
to post
So
the wrong answer and that will feed you the right answer,
exactly,
basically.
something like that. Like
Yeah.
Cunningham's law states the best way to get to the right answer on the internet is not to ask a question, is to post the wrong answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there's an element of that. So yeah, like at the end of the day, returns are all that matter, and how you do and so if you go talk to their portfolio companies, I think single-handedly, maybe the better pull is to ask that question.
Mm.
Go ask founders that they've backed. They're there. They're in the trenches, and that's all it really matters. That and outperforming.
Actually, I did a very informal survey of probably 25 founders. This was like end of last year, beginning of this year, because I was thinking about like should we
Yeah.
have a database basically of all the VCs and rank them and publicize it, and decided not to do that. But yeah, actually, Multicoin ranked. It was Multicoin and Union Square Ventures
Yeah.
were the
I mean,
two
if
most helpful venture firms
yeah.
we found.
I think it will only become more important as the space has proliferated. Like if a lot of the bigger funds or the biggest funds in the space started at a time where it was very much just ETH and Bitcoin, but ETH. You didn't get paid or you didn't raise to allocate to Bitcoin. You raised to allocate mostly to Ethereum. And um, the name implies multi-coin. They've gone out and they're very focused, I think, and that becomes, I think, more important as the space continues, as the aperture of the investable universe expands. And it's equally valuable to understand the things that you want to invest in as much as the things you don't want to invest in. And so I think ultimately, I'm not suggesting that maybe generalized funds are not going to do well. Like you certainly could run a strategy like that, but and Multicoin has different vehicles, right? They have venture fund and liquid fund. That's I think more of a structural reason, and I would do it the same way. And I think a lot of other funds do it the same way, just purely from a type of allocator perspective. But at the core, I think they're more focused. Like at
Yeah,
Verify, we were very focused on one idea. It was decentralized finance before it
DeFi.
was a term. It was DeFi. Ben and I were of the opinion that decentralized finance is a killer use case, and we were seeing it because we were on chain looking at it. Was I think in order to come up with big bold ideas, you have to focus on like key insights. The insight that we had was looking at like stablecoin usage on chain and saying, wait a
Mm,
minute, it's actually cheaper to swap stablecoins on chain, something like Curve, than it is with Coinbase or Binance.
mm.
And then seeing ETH collapse 80% and Maker die, which is backed by ETH, hold its peg. Those two, I could tell you there's other things that we were observing and,
Well,
you
holding
know,
the peg almost didn't. I think you guys played a good role in holding the peg, but right?
well, there was moments where it was tricky. That's
Yeah.
we
Oh
in
yeah,
that
you guys were in the trenches. You guys were in the trenches.
March, Black Thursday, we were nonstop. I was on the phone for like 48 hours because there was a credible chance of single. At the time, DAI was only backed by ETH, and our proposal was we have to expand collateral. And the hardcore Ethereum people were like ideologically saying, "Oh, it's gonna censorship resistance and adding USDC as collateral is gonna be really bad." I'm like, "Fine, keep. Do you want to die or do you want to survive?" And it's I find that people like think of risk in really binary terms. Risk is always a matter of probabilities in a spectrum, and very few people I think understand that. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, like I shout out to them. I mean, I know they haven't. It's not like I told you so. In many ways, Trump also had this tweet. Actually, maybe transitioning the conversation a little bit more. He had something that I thought was really impressive. He said, "I'm not out here to go and chase after the people that made my life very difficult. I'm actually willing to give them a second or third chance." I'm like, whoa. I bet a lot of people didn't expect Trump to tweet that.
I mean, he did say that, but he also just sued the news companies for $10 billion, so he is holding a bit, a bit of a grudge. Just putting that out there.
But I mean, okay, fine. I hear your point, but
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah. All right, I have one takeaway
all
from
this
that,
to,
and then
all
we
this
can.
to say is like I think like a more important thing is, well, I'll be observing is As Solana reaches all-time high, how does that community take that all in? And I know there's different factions within the community, but like I don't think the right strategy would be to say, I told you so. We're, here
100%.
to we're here and we're the best. I actually think that what has made Solana so powerful is that and in this multi-coin conference, there was Raj there and Joanna Tully. They've stuck to one really core idea, which is NASDAQ on the blockchain. Increase bandwidth, reduce latency. Like two very core ideas. That doesn't mean that, by the way, there's other technology in crypto that can address other use cases beyond NASDAQ on the blockchain. Like stand for something, but be very opinionated and understand the trade-offs. That's what I tell every other project that I come across.
Yeah. Scale is the blockchain that is simply built different. Let's face it, other L1 networks have costly transaction fees that increase as the network gets busier. Scale has solved this problem with a gas-free, scalable infrastructure where users never pay gas fees. Scale was awarded the most active gaming chain in 2023 by CoinGecko and hosts 5 of the top 25 games on DApp Radar. You should definitely check out Scale. I was using it the other day. It really is incredible to use. That's Scale, spelled with a K. Hit the link in the show notes or head on over to skale.space/ecosystem to get started today. Hey everyone, Jason here. I wanted to quickly talk about Cronos zkEVM, a next generation zero knowledge layer 2 blockchain network focused on scalability, security, and innovation. Secured by Ethereum, it further expands the Cronos ecosystem using zk Sync tech. Cronos zkEVM has launched its Pioneer program, offering early users loyalty points for engaging with Cronos zkEVM and its dapps. Join the first quest by depositing CRO in the Cronos zkEVM bridge to receive ZK CRO and loyalty points at mainnet launch. And that's not all. In addition to receiving ZK CRO and loyalty points, you could also win part of a $30,000 ZK CRO giveaway by depositing in the bridge. The more you deposit, the better your chances of winning. Visit zkevm.cronos.org/bridge for more info. Now let's get back to today's show. Are you a project founder struggling to pay your team in stables or even just giving them token grants? I've seen this issue firsthand throughout the space. Traditional payroll or EOR providers don't support crypto. Even if you wanted to do it yourself, it's really complicated to figure out all the tax withholdings, report to the IRS or any government, and manage local filings. Toku simplifies every part of global token compensation. Everything from paying full-time employees in stablecoins, issuing token grants to your team and investors, all in 100 countries on one platform. You can plug Toku into your existing payroll setup or even choose a fully managed service. No guesswork, no missed deadlines, no complexity. Reach out to their incredible team at toku.com or by hitting the link in the description of today's episode. Hey everyone, Jason here. I wanted to take a second to break down why Magic Eden is getting into token trading. Their team is extremely concerned that crypto is still consolidated in the hands of a few centralized exchanges who act as gatekeepers, ultimately recreating the TradFi space. They believe that crypto is still missing an on-chain Binance, and their aim is to move trading completely on-chain, fully decentralized. They've done $6 billion in NFT volume in the last 3 years and have had more than 1.4 million users visit their platform in the past year, making them the #1 NFT platform in the market today. They are the ones that can do it. Stay up to date with Magic Eden's journey by giving them a follow on X at Magic Eden. Earlier in today's episode, I mentioned Ledger's latest products, the Stacks and Flex, and I wanted to take a few seconds to tell you more about them. For Black Friday only, Ledger is offering $70 in Bitcoin if you upgrade to the Ledger Flex. You can also save up to 40% on selected Ledger Nano wallets and accessories. These wallets are virtually impenetrable to online attacks because they store your private key in a secure offline chip. You can manage more than 5,500 tokens and install up to 100 apps. Offer is only valid until December 5th or while supplies last, so be sure to hit the link in the description of today's episode so you don't miss out on this really good deal. Did you see the Solana roadmap website? I think Mert created it. It's just a blank page.
IBRL.
Just as increased bandwidth, reduced latency. All right, so I had one takeaway from the Multicoin Summit. Kyle had a great chat with Senator Haggerty, and without sharing too much of the details, um, it does sound like a positive stablecoin legislation is going to come. I'm now on your page that the Stripe acquisition of Bridge is an Instagram moment. I was like, I wasn't as convicted as you were at the time, but I now, after hearing Haggerty speak, I do. So here's what I think will happen in stablecoins is I think we're going to see positive legislation come out in January. I don't know if this means approval or like bills starting to get really proposed and pushed forward, but like something in early 2025, good stablecoin legislation will happen. Once that happens, we're going to see the banks get comfortable holding stablecoins. Once the banks get comfortable holding stablecoins, we're going to see the banks start actually issuing stablecoins as they see how much money folks like Tether and Circle are actually making. After that, the tech companies, I think, are going to see how much money the banks are making by issuing stablecoins. And they're going to say, wait. We've got the relationship with the users, not the banks anymore. And so I think you'll start to see one prediction that I'll probably end up having is Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, I guess that's one company, Telegram, they're all going to launch their own stablecoins. And I think there's this like domino effect of like legislation comes, banks start holding, banks start issuing, tech companies start issuing, US dollar maintains global reserve status. As we basically figure out how to export dollars to the entire world. And so
Yeah.
that was just biggest takeaway from the Multicoin Summit was like I think people are grossly underestimating. I think people think that there's like, oh, stablecoin bubble on Twitter and people are talking about that. We're not, the game hasn't even started for
Oh, no, no,
stablecoins.
exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a speck of dust.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like, why wouldn't you want to have increased dollar reserve like status and demand for dollars worldwide? The question that, yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm not like an expert on legislation, how long in the process, but some people, most of the smarter people, uh, like of what I've heard, like that takes time, like multiple years. It's more of a question, can you get it through in the next 4 years? Um, but yeah, maybe we'd love to have someone come on and really kind of lay out different scenarios of the most aggressive case, the more like had how it has historically been done, and then yeah,
Yeah.
because
I think there's two main bills right now, which is one is the Lummis Gillibrand Payment Stablecoin Act. This was uh, this was introduced in April, so it's bipartisan, right? Gillibrand is Democrat, Lummis is obviously Republican, and then there's the who's the guy who's retiring? McHenry and
okay,
Haggerty proposed the Clarity for Payment Stablecoins Act
right,
a couple months ago, and then I think you had the House Financial Services. It was McHenry and Maxine Waters are also working on a bipartisan stablecoin bill. So I don't know whose bill it's going to be. I don't know the process, but I think there's two to three bills, and I think something will go through.
right.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah. It, like when you say go through in the like you're saying the next 4 years or the next year or like what's the timeline?
Well, I guess you could. The most optimistic is that a stablecoin legislation passes during the lame duck period of Congress coming up. But I think
Right.
I mean, the timing and likelihood of that are pretty low. I would say. I think there's regulatory pressure from folks like Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, and then federal banking regulators, and that's
Mhm.
obviously going to flip
Yeah.
come January once
Mhm.
Trump is running the country. Then you've got but I think you'll just have like real strong global competition that ends up forcing this through, and people will realize. I also think governments have historically underestimated the power of crypto in keeping them. Uh, what's the right word here?
At bay.
Solvent? No, like yeah, honestly, like
Solvent.
yeah, like I don't know. I think stablecoin providers are going to become the buyer of last resort for these bonds. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Well,
bond
we talked
yields.
about it. We talked about it in the episode with Eric. Like historically, you had to dance around like from a policy standpoint with China because they were such an important buyer of treasuries. But when Tether, imagine a world where collectively the stablecoin issuers like Tether become
Yeah,
surpass China. Like, well, you're gonna have to negotiate with, or at least take care of, that contingent, and I would argue it'd be easier to negotiate with that type of contingent than it has been with China.
Yeah. I mean, I'm way out of my depth in talking about this, but like if if the treasury market, you stop having demand in that market, the yields start to go exponential. And who's keeping these yields from going exponential? I mean, could be the stable coins. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Depends on the
Um,
paper. Depends on the paper you buy and the shape of the curve and all this, like short term, long term. But
yeah,
yes,
yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about here.
Jordy from Salini, if you're listening, you
Yeah.
can tell us how
What I
wrong we are, and
what
you
I
can
do know is that bullish week for Trump and crypto. So maybe just to give a highlight of some of the things that happened. And the reason, by the way, that I think these things are actually important is because there were a lot of people saying, hey, look, if Trump gets elected, will he actually hold his promise of like being pro crypto? And a lot of people said, look, he won't actually be pro crypto. He's just telling you idiots this. So you'll give him money and then he's going to rug you. And I think this week was actually a pretty clear indication that he will be pro crypto. So a few things happened. One is he met with Brian Armstrong.
Mhm.
And you could say this is just a meeting, but I think this is important because the last administration, I mean, you could give them 50 million bucks in donations and they wouldn't schedule a 30-minute meeting with you. It was impossible to get a meeting with Biden, impossible to get a meeting with Warren, impossible to get a meeting even by the end with Gensler. So this Brian meeting I think was pretty important. Two was he announced that he's appointing a crypto czar within the White House. This person's, quote, going to be armed with a small staff and tasked with serving as a liaison between financial regulators, Congress, and the White House on crypto policy. And then the third is Howard Lutnick is getting a key role. We already kind of knew that. And the fourth, which is the craziest one, obviously, is Truth Social, which Trump obviously has a huge stake in, is entertaining or late stages to buy Backed. And new crypto people might not know what Backed is, but Backed was like
The exchange.
the
We got all the hype.
darling
Zero,
of
zero volume.
yeah, the darling. So there's this company called International Continental Exchange, ICE. They own the New York Stock Exchange and a myriad of other exchanges and market infrastructure companies. They launched this company called Backed originally as a custodian, institutional custodian, and then they layered on an exchange. And it I mean, it just has done absolutely nothing. They went public, but the stock is trading at next to nothing. I thought they went bankrupt. Honestly, I thought they were out of business. I think they've been trying to sell this thing for years. Um, but yeah, true.
Has volume not done anything really? I mean, I know the first week was like even the shittiest AMM in tier 4 chain was doing more volume than back, but
I mean, here you go. I'll show you the. Here's the chart. So yeah,
no,
I
no,
mean,
but I'm not talking about the stock price. I'm just talking
oh,
more
the
like
volume of
yeah,
backed.
like the actual volume back, like in comparing it to against like other players
I don't
like
even know if they're big enough to get. Can you get volumes? Oh yeah, I guess they're public. So
yeah, yeah. Well, I think you might be able to see it, but
all right, this is a week. This is a week ago. 200. Yeah, I mean,
they're
165
doing
million.
165 million in 12 days. That's November alone.
No, no, no. This is
Oh no,
165 million
October
in
165.
October.
That's what Binance does with uh, in hours, right? With a shitty asset.
Yeah. So, anywho,
Like let's look at here. I'm looking at CoinGecko markets. Just Solana alone does 2 billion in volume on Binance.
a
Uh,
month,
no, a day,
a
of course.
day, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
No,
Let's
no. So
pick here.
these
Let,
back
let's
numbers were a month.
let's pick Goat, which is talk about AI and all the rage there. So okay, markets. Um, Gate.io has done $68 million in volume in the last 24 hours.
Don't
Gate.
sleep on Gate. Don't
Don't
sleep
sleep
on
on Gate.
Gate.
Qcoin, yeah, like well, I must say some of this volume is a bit off, but you can feel good about like I guess Radium. Yeah, well, yeah, Gate. Well,
You see Radium's volumes past Uniswap's volumes? Do you see this?
Radium. Yeah, I was looking at Radium last a couple of days. I'm like, That could have been I missed it. I'm like, how, out of curiosity, I was like, well, most of the volume, because when you go and trade on Jupiter, like a lot of you see where it's being routed. I'm like, oh, like I was seeing like radium, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. I could have like traded radium when I was buying all these meme
So
coins.
Radium, talk about a partnership deal. Radium, pumped off fund deciding to integrate with Radium. I mean, that's so
But then, yeah,
Radium did 5 billion in weekly volume last week. Compare that to Uniswap, 3.5 billion.
like go.
Um, I actually think there's an interesting takeaway here of so Uniswap is deployed on 23 different chains. Radium's only on Solana. There's
Yeah.
an interesting strategy of like, does it really make sense to go super multi-chain? I guess this is more just Solana meme coins are ripping. Don't look into it too much. All
Yeah.
right, pivoting topics here. Let's talk about the one narrative that is happening, which is AI agents.
Mhm.
So um, it seems like the timeline is basically dominated by like AI agent stuff. So we talked about Goat a little while ago, and I think you had said you're like Goat could be the lightning bolt for AI agents starting to happen. Um, and I think that was a good call. So you're seeing social media influencers that are AI agents, Luna, venture funds, AI 16Z. There are launch pads, virtuals, Spectral for trading.
Yeah.
There's actually a ETH Global Hackathon after DevCon. There were 700 plus projects submitted. AI agents just dominated those. Um, yeah, there's like industry AI, which is creating like a gamified interface for multiple agents to work together to complete tasks. I'm just reading our research newsletter where they were talking about these. But anyways, there's a bunch of
Yeah.
Coinbase. Oh, this was the big kicker. Coinbase's developer platform has Agent Kit SDK where they're running LLMs under the hood that let you launch an AI agent super quickly. So I think a lot of this is happening on Base. It
Hmm.
sounds like
Yeah.
so. I don't know. I guess that is the real, that is the narrative that's happening right now.
That was my thesis going into go.
What do you think of the? I mean, I'm. This is the wrong podcast to listen to if you want to get super deep into these because I haven't been paying super close attention unless you have.
I have because go. But like, there's so much that has proliferated in terms of
Like, tell
different
me about
AI.
Luna. Like, tell me about AI 16Z or like Luna.
I
Do you
got
know?
pitched Luna. Luna is this platform that like allows you, if you're a creator or a KOL or an influencer, to create this AI persona that like is your bot basically, right? So it's an AI persona that
I
resembles
couldn't
like,
tell you. I couldn't tell you.
no, I believe so. Yeah, there's like different platforms that are allowing you to do this. But it's like if you're a recognizable figure, you have like your own AI.
Here,
But yeah.
this was Sandra, the I think founder of Kaido. She said in the AI agent space, we've seen the first viral AI agent trained on 4chan data, GOAT, AI
Yeah.
agent launchpads, virtual creator bid, FIFU, AI influencers, Luna on TikTok,
Yeah.
autonomous VC agents, AI 16Z, general agent infrastructure, Spectral, AI agents creating tokens anonymously, Luminous, agent creating an entire soundtrack, Zero Bro. I actually listened to that song, kind of slapped. AI agent that gives you market alpha, AI XBT, and an AI agent that trades for you, Spectral.
Yeah.
Pretty
It's just
cool. I w-
yeah.
this feels like go spend the weekend playing with some of these things.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anything else here?
No, I don't think so. I should mention that I have a position in Goat, and it's not small, and this is not financial advice, and I'm biased when I talk about these things.
Barry Silbert, big boss. He's back.
Oh, is he? He's been
He
quiet.
launched Yuma, which is a startup in the BitTensor ecosystem under the DCG umbrella.
Wow, interesting.
Big week.
Big week, I guess.
um, okay, other things that I'm thinking about are MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is basically just trading as a here. Let me pull up this chart of the old sailor pump here. I thought this was a pretty good chart from David Canellis at Blockworks. So the orange shading in the background is the supply of Bitcoin that MicroStrategy owns. The orange is Bitcoin, and then the purple is MicroStrategy. So you can see it tracking it for a very long time right here. And then it in the last couple of months, I guess this year, it's really just ran away. So yeah, MicroStrategy is on an absolute tear. Stock is up about 600% year to date. It's hitting just daily 10% jumps. It now has better returns than Nvidia on an all time on the these all time time frames. I think that's the time frame that we're looking at.
No, but
They just
NVIDIA is still higher, but close. It's very close.
oh, it's right here. Oh, it's
It,
right here.
it, it it may have changed, but
Close. Okay,
it's coming very close
it's
to it.
coming close. But yeah, they what else happened? So they announced this their latest convertible debt offering is increasing to 2.6 billion. They announced the 40 billion or 42 billion dollar buy. They bought 4.6 billion worth of Bitcoin last week at an average price of like 88,000. Um
Collectively, their entire holdings are, I think the average price before maybe this latest purchase was like 50 or so, sub 50,
yeah,
close
but
to 50.
50 price. Now they hold I think they hold like 330,000 Bitcoin, which is like 1.5 to 2% of the entire circulating supply of Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess the bear. So I mean, just very interesting. I don't fully understand this honestly. It's trading at like 3 to 4 times their net asset value against the value of their Bitcoin. I
This
don't.
is like a grayscale all over again. Good.
Yeah, this doesn't. I don't. I'm like, why would you be buying this if there's a Bitcoin ETF? What does make sense to me is what this guy Dylan Leclerc is doing in Japan with I think it's called MetaPlanet, where there's no Bitcoin ETF in Japan. So they
Yeah.
just did a I'm pretty sure he just did like a pipe, like a private investment in a public entity and just kind of flipped it into this like shell company where they've been buying up Bitcoin. So I think what you'll end up seeing is in all these markets where there's no Bitcoin ETF,
Yeah, it's
you'll start
regulatory arbitrage.
you'll see a random company just
Yeah.
start like a shell company start buying Bitcoin, and that makes actually sense to me.
What doesn't
So
make sense is why MicroStrategy would trade at a premium where you have the ETF.
I see that doesn't make sense to me. My other prediction for these markets is you saw Rumble. So Rumble's like an alternative video streaming platform. They teased a Bitcoin treasury allocation. Their CEO Chris posted a poll on Twitter about should they add Bitcoin to the balance sheet. 36,000 people voted. 90% said yes. And the market actually on Rumble pumped like 11%.
Uh,
So what that and you saw a bunch of other people. Genius Group, Cosmos Health, Semler Scientific, Marathon.
it is
They're
now popular yet again
they're
to believe in
announcing
crypto.
Bitcoin purchases and the price of the stock is going up. And do you know what this reminds me of? Long Island iced tea.
Yes, sir.
Long
Yeah.
Island iced tea. And the reason I say Long Island iced tea is because
I mean,
was it the last market or was it 2 markets ago? I
two
think it was a
markets
lot.
ago.
If I think maybe 2 markets ago, I forget honestly when, but if you put blockchain in your
Yeah.
name, the
Control
stock would
F,
pump.
Control F, and then yeah, or yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but people been doing this with AI for the last like 2 years. Now it's like,
so
all
that's
right,
what's gonna happen.
all right, that pumps over. Let's
If
switch
I'm a
to smaller.
CFO, I'm like, wait. I could move 1% of my treasury into Bitcoin, and I could get the market to jump 10%. I'm doing that all day long. So I think next year you're going to see all these all these purchases. I'm actually now not because it makes sense, but because of the
What
incentives.
phase of the cycle is that?
It's Euphoria phase 3. Don't you read my Twitter threads?
I do. I'm asking the question. I got to jump soon, ladies and gentlemen, before Yano convinces me to sell and mortgage my house and do some crazy stuff with all this bullishness. I don't think a lot of you guys are euphoric. I guess housekeeping. We are thinking of as there's no surprise. I've been spending my time in New York. We're going to be maybe doing an event in the first like early December. And I think the best way to
Are
Yano's
we?
like,
Are we
Yano's
now?
like, Yano's like, what are you talking about?
Are
Stop.
we now? Our
But
event
no,
operations team just shed a tear.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, no, like a small scale event.
Yeah.
It would be
No, so
nice.
you have to be in the Telegram.
Yeah, join the Telegram. If it happens, if it's gonna happen, you're gonna learn about it first there. But it'd be nice to see folks before the end of the year. It's been a good year, and you know, great community we have going there. There's how many people going strong there? 1,000
I think
now.
we've got 670. So
You gotta pump the
um,
numbers.
pump the numbers.
That's your
Last but
fault,
not
man.
least, we have a code for you guys for DAS. We just announced Novogratz is joining us. Eric Peters, who came on the podcast, is now in. We haven't publicly shared that yet, but yeah, Empire 10. Santi is Santi's fighting for a spot. He's fighting for a
You
spot.
see how I get treated here, ladies and gentlemen. I've been sitting in this chair for 4 years, but is close to 30 years in
I
crypto.
think I'm gonna get inversion cap swag before you get Blockwork swag.
Oh,
That's the best thing.
so 100. I mean, that's a no-brainer. The designers who I am working with, which are fantastic, send us like the creative stuff, the logo and website, and of course they put swag. I'm like, when they slap it on a sweatshirt, I'm like,
You
I want to see how it looks like on a
you
t-shirt and a
gotta do it.
sweatshirt.
Yeah.
No doubt. It
So
looks good. It looks like maybe I'll do the unveil of the logo next week. Or I don't know if we're recording next week because of Thanksgiving, but anyways, maybe I'll just do the first unveil here in the pod for people
do
to
it.
see. Not that
Do it.
it's
Do
like
it.
super like, interesting or whatever, but
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the weekend. We have a great podcast coming out on Tuesday with Santi's alma mater, Parify,
nice.
Ben and Kevin. It is a banger 2-hour episode on their 10 predictions for the year 2030. I would highly recommend it. So
And
we'll
then
see you
that's it. We're
Tuesday.
not gonna see folks like a roundup next week because of Thanksgiving, right?
No, we're cooking over Thanksgiving. We don't stop.
Oh, I love it. Let's go. All
Or I
right.
don't or we might cancel it last minute,
No,
but
well,
we'll see.
not in my standpoint. Not in my standpoint. It's my favorite holiday of the year, but I'm down to cook here because I can't cook in the real kitchen.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's do it. I was gonna wish people happy Thanksgiving, but I guess I'll save that for next week.
Save it for next time. All right. Enjoy the
All
weekend.
right.
See you, folks.
Thanks, folks. Take care.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching today's episode. Just wanted to quickly thank today's title sponsor, Skale. Skale really is one of the best chain experiences out there today, and I've used so many different chains. There's a reason they are gaining so much adoption in both gaming and AI use cases. Hit the link in the show notes to explore the Skale ecosystem.